Hey everyone, it's Kirei. I am here with Brandon Houston, getting ready to talk about all the awesome things that I've been able to do in the poetry community and what I have going on. Connect with me on social media if you want to find out more at Kirei_poetry, KIREI_poetry. That's on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Kirei on Facebook. You can connect with me there, and that'll show you everything about what I have going on. And yeah, you are tuned in with Superstar Spotlight.
What's up, you guys, and welcome to another episode of Superstar Spotlight. I am your host and favorite actor, Brandon Houston. And as always, I want to say thank you guys for tuning in to each and every episode. It is greatly appreciated. We have made it to episode 20. So that means for 20 episodes, you guys have been rocking with me, and I greatly appreciate that for you guys supporting and just continuing to make this a thing. So I appreciate y'all. Let's keep it going. As always, this episode is sponsored by Guilty Rich. You can follow the Instagram page, which is guilty.rich. You can check out all the new merchandise that's coming for the spring season and also the current merchandise that they have as well coming out. You can also go on the website, guiltyrichboutique.com. Boutique, the E is actually a 3. Just switch those out. It's guiltyrichboutique.com. Hit up the website, order you some merch. Yeah, be like me. I got a whole Guilty Rich outfit on. Because if you're going to be guilty rich. All right. And with that being said, we are going to introduce our next guest into the spotlight. All right. So entering into the spotlight today is a woman who is known to light up the poetry scene. Okay. She has been all over the country reciting poetry with some of the most dynamic performances that you have ever seen. She's really one of the top poets from the city, and we just want to give her all the love and support that we can. Not only is she a poet, she's also an author. She's a spiritual guide, and she's an overall dope person. So, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, the 2020 Michigan Emmy Award winner, Kirei the Poet.
Hey, y'all.
Offering poems and sacrament to nourish others, to learn to serve self as I continue light working. Leo's son, Aquarius ascended, descended of ancestral beings who carried a mix of mystery and magic they were almost made to forget, and I almost forgot where I came from. Tell me, I speak so well. In these poems, I remind myself there is still breath in my being, that I am a demonstration of whatever my words decide. I am who I said I was first, before anyone attempted alterations. I carry constellations and galaxies inside me daily, and I manifest this peace, this proof. Thank you.
Hey, how are you doing?
I'm good, Brandon. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, no problem. It is an honor to have you on this show, just to learn about you, learn about what you have been doing these past couple of years, because to me, it seems like you've been very busy, getting everything together, not only with your poetry, but with everything else that you do as well. So, yeah, it's just great to have you on the show so we can talk about it and cover it. All right. So with that being said, are you ready to step into the spotlight?
Yeah. Good.
All right. So she's ready. I hope y'all ready too. Let's get right into it. All right. So first question is really the introductory question for everyone. How did you come up with the name Kirei?
So that actually, originally I was going by Phoenix or T Phoenix, and I was in a Japanese class at my 2008, 2009, and I learned that Kirei Shi means beautiful poetry, and I was like, that sounds really cool. And with like a stage name, you can give it to yourself, or it's kind of like an ASL where someone gives you your sign name. And so a friend of mine was just like, you should, go by Kirei or Kirei Shi. And so then it was originally Kirei Shi, and it just got shortened to Kirei. So, and Kirei means poetry in Japanese. So.
That's dope. That's definitely a dope name. And since it means poetry, that leads right into my next question. How did you actually get involved with poetry?
So I have been writing since I was 10 or 11, but I got into poetry really around like age 13. Just having, life circumstances that I was going through and not really being able to talk to anybody about them, not knowing how to. Um, and I've always liked words. So I just, I kind of looked into it. I did learn about it in school, but it was very standard, Edgar Allan Poe, Robert Frost, talented writers, but I couldn't resonate with any of them. And so, I started writing for myself. And then I want to say about 16, 17 maybe, I went to an open mic at the Kiva. Ed Wilson, also known as Future, the poet, was doing shows there, and I got to see, for one, Black people on stage who look like me, but also, U of M Flint graduates, local Flint artists that were writing poetry for a living. And that was really what they were doing. They were performing and writing, and I had never seen anything like it. I had no idea that it could exist in a world like that. And that was kind of just where I found my niche. And I've been performing on stage since really about 17, 18. So,
Okay.
15, 16 years.
Okay, so you've been into it for a while.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So as you have been writing over the years and things like that, was that moment your inspiration for writing poetry, or were there different inspirations, like from different poets or reading different poems? Where did your inspirations for writing come from?
Initially, like I said, just my own experiences, but then being out in the world, seeing different cadences, learning actually about the different kinds of structures of different poems, seeing people win slams with haikus and things like that I had never even, thought of. I really was able to structure who I wanted to be as a writer, so that I was able to find my own cadence, find my own style. And my inspiration really just comes from anything now. My own life experiences, the things that I witnessed, in my life as a Black woman, as a queer woman, as a Flint resident, just all of those things. So really anything.
Yeah. So yeah, with you mentioning that, it seems like there has been a lot that has transpired in your life, which you write about, and you just put that straight to paper. And so that makes me wonder, like, what exactly is your writing process? Like, how do you formulate what you want to write and how you want to write it? Like, what is the thought process when it comes to putting a poem together?
So usually a lot of my poems now, and I guess I'll say for a while, they usually start as like thoughts. I just kind of have, I'll think of a sentence and I'm like, that could possibly go somewhere. And so I'll jot it down, and then I come back to it. There's been times that I've written whole poems in my head just because I've been constantly thinking of, what lines would flow. But really, I really just focus on what it is that I want my message to be. So I may start something, and then I feel like once I've reached a certain point and I don't want to add to it, I'll begin the editing process, and then I may go back and add something else to it later. There's poems that I have written 3, 4 lines of. I've written a whole stanza, and then I've set it down for weeks or months at a time to come back to it. I never want to force myself in my creative process, because I feel like it's important for me to have fun with my creativity, especially in the world of poetry. Getting into the world of slam specifically, there tended to be a lot of writing about the darkest, deepest, most traumatic or painful parts of our lives, and that's necessary, absolutely, for the healing process. But I like to enjoy my life, and so I like to enjoy my writing process as well. I never really want to force myself, but I definitely, I definitely make sure that I give myself time to think, in my writing process. Again, so like I said, I'll put things down, I'll come back to them, but it really all starts with thoughts. Really, I'll see something and then I just have a thought. And I'm like, I should just write that down and come back to it later and go from there.
Gotcha. Gotcha. And I think one of the important things that I took from that is that you enjoy the process, or make sure that you enjoy yourself during that process, because I feel like a lot of times, a lot of thoughts that people have, it can, you know, drive them to, not enjoy what they're doing and things like that. So, um, with certain experiences, I won't touch on anything specific, but like with certain experiences that could cause like negative thoughts or things like that, how do you turn that into something, that you enjoy writing about?
Um, Really, I just make space for it. I recognize it for what it is, and I let it be what it is. In saying that I enjoy the process, it's that I enjoy the process. It doesn't mean that I have to turn everything into a happy poem. Some things are just rough to talk about, and it's not something that I necessarily will shy away from. But I also don't linger in those spaces too long. Um, there are times when I would say like in my beginning of my writing process and again at the beginning of my spoken word journey, I felt that I had to talk about really, really dark, you know, just sad things that happened to me. And it wasn't that I didn't need to get them out, but I felt like I was what I believe poetry was supposed to be. And once I began processing those things and I didn't feel them anymore, I was saying, what do I write about? But very recently, I have shied away from that. Not that I won't write about those things, but poetry is no longer my therapy. Therapy is my therapy. Shout out to therapy.
Shout out
Go
to
get a
therapy.
therapist if you feel like you need one. I think we all could use one. You don't have to wait until things are bad. If you want to talk to somebody, just talk to somebody. It's my little sidebar. Also psych major, so shout out to therapy. But because I began to use therapy as a way to process what I was going through, I'm writing on the other side of that now. And so I am allowing myself to feel all those things, but those feelings don't linger for as long. And I don't force myself to go back into a feeling. There have been times at slams when I can, or just open mics or just events in general, where people may have asked me to perform for a certain theme. And if I feel that it's a bit too hard for me emotionally to get into it, I just probably won't go there. Um, I am an assault survivor. I'm a sexual assault survivor. And there was a while where that was all I talked about in my poetry. And it wasn't that I was constantly writing about it, but that was one of my go-to poems. And again, once I began to process that, there was no longer a need to put myself into that emotional space. So I guess to answer your question in short form, I recognize those spaces for what they are emotionally, and I allow them to be. And I think allowing myself to be in those spaces and not running from them allows the moment to pass. It allows the moment to exist for as long as it needs to for me to be able to write about it. And then once it passes, I may still have my feelings. I may cry while I perform, whatever the case. But I don't feel an emotional stronghold attached to those things. That makes sense.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense. You create the space for it to, become what it is in your creativity, and then once it's done pretty much. So yeah, I can definitely understand that. And speaking of being in emotional spaces, you're not only writing for yourself, but there were times when you were writing for others as
Yes.
well. Thinking back on previous events that we've had in the city, you've had like a station where you'll have people come up and you'll write a poem for them on the spot too. So how do you tap into um, the emotions of someone else, and how do you get a feel of them and just know what you want to write for them in that moment?
So what you're asking me about is something called Poet for Hire, which is actually was started by a poet out in New Orleans, Louisiana. And so people would just come up to him and they would just get poems custom written. And so usually with those, what I'll do is that I'll ask for a prompt. So I ask the person to tell me something about themselves, something they would like me to write about, or give me 5 words that are important to you. And then from there, it's a matter of an intuitive connection, and then also really just building connection with those people. And so, especially during those times, if people are comfortable, I'm talking to them throughout the entire process that I'm writing. And so, someone may say, oh, I want you to write a poem about joy, and I'll say, okay, so what are some of the things that bring you joy? And they may say, like, my sister, I enjoy spending time with her or my family or my job, whatever it is. And so from there, I may not necessarily write about okay, this is my job that I do that brings me joy, but more so, this is my sense of purpose. This is my sense of purpose in the earth. This is what, I do to give back to people. And so it kind of flows in that way. Where, again, I use some of the same processes of my own writing processes. I'm thinking of synonyms in my head for certain things when someone tells me a certain word. I might, start with a certain cadence. I may do like a continuous train of thought. And so there's one word that really is like a metaphor throughout the entire poem. So it really just depends. But definitely the intuitive connection there, and then really just building connection with those people in those moments. It's the same way I do when I'm on stage. When I'm at a feature, I have anywhere from 15 to 30 minutes to really get the audience to connect with me, to listen, to hear me, to feel me, and then for me to feel them as well. Because it's not just about what I want to say. Poetry is an act of giving back to me. Like you said, I'm writing for other people. So.
Okay, yeah, and that's definitely dope. That you're able to do that because I feel like even for me personally, because she wrote a poem for me too, y'all. She wrote a poem for me too. I think that your ability to connect with others, just off of one conversation, really is amazing, and it's really a gift to say the most. Because not a lot of people like yeah, we just talked about therapy like a few moments ago.
Mm-hmm.
Like a lot of people don't have the strength, I want to say, to go out and seek therapy and everything like that. So for you to be a safe space for people to come and talk to you and then put it into poetry form is really kind of, for me, is kind of a relief in a sense. Just knowing that, there's somebody that cares enough to, create that experience for you and put it on paper so you can see it. Because, I read both of my poems as much as I can because they are dope. They are dope. I might even cut this and read one of them to y'all. I'm going to do that. So here's one of the poems that she wrote for me. I'm going to read it right here.
Brandon, keep laughing and bringing others joy. It is more necessary in this time than you can find reason for. Explore what brings you the happiness you so often give out. Live out loud in a world that only understands silence. Keep shining, 'cause it brings others joy maybe more than you know, more than you can realize. You've saved some lives with laughter, so keep chasing after your joy. Kirei.
Wasn't that one dope, y'all? See, that's why she's here in the spotlight because she is definitely amazing. And speaking of being amazing, you were able to be a part of a team that won the Michigan Emmy Award for image promotion back in 2020. It was for a promotion about U of M Flint.
Yes.
Just kind of talk to me about that process, how that came about, and what was your emotions when you found out that you won that Emmy Award?
What does it mean to be a Wolverine? It means learning in a place where you can create a future you can proudly look forward to. Your future. Our future. Go Blue.
So Dr. Tracy Kirei, who is also from U of M Flint, she recently moved, but she connected me with Jennifer Hogan and Bob Berg. They were creating a commercial and a video really for U of M just to bring students into the school and to give them more awareness, to just, to do a whole new revamp of how they were going to be connecting students in the city of Flint to come to U of M. And so we recorded. I thought it was really cool. I thought it was just a really good opportunity, and I was content enough with like, oh, it's going to be shown at U of M. That's awesome because I went there, Go Blue. I graduated in 06, so as alumni, I felt really honored. And then later, when they said, oh, by the way, I just got a very casual Facebook message from Jennifer one day that was like, by the way, you're up for an Emmy. And I had no idea what what that was going to mean for me or look like. And so, yes, I won a Michigan Natives Emmy for a poem, What Does It Mean to Be a Wolverine, that I wrote for you and Flint. And that was really, really phenomenal. I still have the video up of when I realized that I won. I recorded it and put it on Facebook. So it was major. But I think the bigger impact for me, even though the Emmy is huge, I have it at home. Don't get me wrong. It's like I'm on the way to EGOT status. But um, seeing people in the city of Flint who recognized me or who went to U of M for orientation, student orientation, and was like, I saw your poem, I saw your video. That was major for me because the Emmy was huge on a statewide scale. Um, but it just I think the knowing that I left an impact in that way um, was really, really awesome for me. And it feels really, really cool to say I'm an Emmy winner. It feels a little braggadocious. I'm still kind of getting used to it. I don't talk about it a lot. Truthfully, I probably should talk about it way more. But yeah, I never thought of that being something possible for me. That was never the goal with poetry. Um, my goal with poetry was just to write. It was really just to write and just to perform. I never dreamed of, like major recognition in any kind of way until I realized that it was possible. And then it's like, okay, like other people are feeling me. I did a show on the 13th of this month that Anthony Thompson, also known as OTD, he did a show with this huge, beautiful showcase with myself, Mel the Poet, Alf Drew, Isis Therapist, so many incredible artists at King Cigar Lounge. Mm-hmm. And I had a very short set. I went up and I performed, and I kind of see myself on stage in a way. But when I got done, Drew came over to me and he was just like, "Do you see how much the crowd resonates with you?" And it's always humbling because, again, my goal is just to write and just to perform the stuff that I wrote. It's really, I never think about the fact that people are like, "Oh my God, you're really awesome," it is. I'm really humbled every time somebody tells me. It's not that I don't think that I am, but my goal isn't to get up on stage and be dope. My goal is just to get up on stage and to just share my work in the same way that someone else doing that for me inspired them. So Emmy win, huge. It's going to set me on a path, I know, because it put me in a mind of realizing that there, is huge success that I can really achieve with this. So it definitely took me outside of the box that I put myself in. But yeah, I love this work. And so to be recognized and to be able to make a difference and to be able to, hopefully get people into U of M Flint. And to also, to let other people know that that is possible. It's very, very possible for us, especially from the city of Flint, to achieve huge, phenomenal things in the world of arts and media and all that.
Yeah. Nice. And if you're not gonna brag on it, I am. She is amazing, y'all. And if you haven't heard any poetry from her, I don't know what you're waiting on. She's been in plenty shows, been in plenty areas where she can showcase her poetry and talent. Amazing, amazing, amazing. Every time that you perform, I'm completely in tune to it. I'm watching you perform. Like, she's awesome. She's awesome.
I appreciate that.
No problem, no problem. You know I'm a root for you every time.
I appreciate that.
Every time. And speaking of performances, a lot of times in the events, you are labeled as one of the featured artists. Mm-hmm. So when that is the case, do you feel like there's any added pressure onto your performance, knowing that you're like the feature or one of the main performers when it comes to performances?
There's definitely a different level of pressure. I would say it's different because if I'm just going to open mic, there's the pressure of I have one or two poems to get the audience to really, really tune in with me. And so I have to pick what I think is going to be, the most impactful or hard hitting or funniest, whatever it is, depending on the crowd. With the feature, I have a considerable amount of more time. And so the last feature that I just did with Jade Marche and Jaja Hubbard for Poetry and All That Melanin on Fourth Fridays, which is a huge show that connects artists in Flint, Saginaw, Detroit, course, Huron, Auburn Hills, all over. And there I had 30 minutes, completely different than doing 6 minutes of poetry. And so I had the pressure of having to have a set that flowed, to keep the audience engaged with me, to be able to transition from political to social to comical to romantic, to personal without it becoming, esoteric or, a little bit too lengthy or whatever it could be. And it's really also different because when you're a feature, usually if it's an open mic that I've gone to a few times, I know what the crowd is like. Sometimes when I'm featuring, I've never been there before. It's my first time showing up. And so that's completely different than, a crowd where I feel like, oh, I've been to the show every, the last 6 months. I know what the vibe is going to be. So yeah, just different levels of pressure. But it's always exciting. I love being able to share myself with the audience. I love the world that is created in open mics, and not just with poetry, with with singers, with actors, with business owners who are just promoting themselves. I love the connection that we all have. But yeah, and so whenever I'm performing, I really just want my audience to feel as comfortable with me as possible, and vice versa. That's another level of pressure that I am realizing that I am figuring out right now, because it's been a minute since I've featured, and so I haven't had those times to have really long, conversations really with my audience. So that's really what it is. But when I look at it that way, there's not as much pressure. It's not really ever heavy. It's just different.
Gotcha. So just like a different feeling that
You
you
know,
get.
it's the difference between like the 15-minute phone interview and the hour-long interview in person.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Okay.
Levels of pressure.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
All right. So in your years of writing, not only have you done poetry, um, or correct me if I'm wrong, but you've written books as well.
Yes.
So are those books poetry books, or are those like like fiction, nonfiction type of books? Because I saw a post of yours back in October that you were actually working on fiction books. So I wanted to know the books that you have out now. What kind of books are those, and how can us as an audience and as fans, how can we get those books?
You have done your research. I saw a post back in October. You have done your research. I love it. So actually, when I started writing fiction. My very first fiction novel was one that I published at 16. And then from there, I released Papyrus and Rose Petals, and then Three Words Life on the Water, and then These Words Live. And those were all collections of poetry. These Words Live was a collection of poems, and then like journal entries to myself. And so that's kind of been more of the vibe that I've done with poetry. I actually am working on 2 books right now. One of them is a fiction novel. I actually have 2 fiction novels that I'm working on. It's different because with poetry books, I really have no idea where I'm going to go until I get, in front of my computer and I'm deciding what goes where. With fiction, the reason why my fiction novels are taking so long, I have the entire thing planned out in my head. I know from start to finish I know everything. And so it's the process of having to like write that out in such detail.
Yeah.
Because one of them is a murder mystery that's it's not a murder mystery to me because I know who did it and why they did it and all that. And so it's having to write that out.
Right.
But I have another one that is going to be like a Black spiritual fiction. And so that one is another one that was being a bit more constructed, so that'll take some time. But I do write fiction and poetry. I've loved both. I don't want to ever just be pigeonholed into one thing, because that's really something else that I'm learning about myself, is that I'm not just a spoken word artist, I'm a performance artist. And I want to be able to have, sections and selections from my books that I read. I'm actually also working on an audio project that will be dropping in April. Am I going ahead of your question?
No, you can do
Okay.
Go.
So I'm actually going to be releasing a short meditation/affirmation chapbook with an audio project that will go with it. And so it'll be 30 days of poetic meditations and affirmations, and then audio, like a guided meditation if you want to listen to that as well. And so, yeah, I really want to just expand my creative writing. I've always been a creative writer. So I love being able to give people something to read. I feel like literacy is so important. I love that we're here in the library. But yeah, literacy is a major thing. That was one of the first jobs that I ever had, was going into schools and after school programs and working with kids on their literacy.
Okay.
And then actually helping them to publish their own little fiction and nonfiction stories. And they would be able to, they'd have their own small collections of books. They never really got to sell them or anything like that. But to be 6 or 7 and really be a real author with a real book is a major thing. And so, yeah, I love the process of writing. I love giving people something to read. So stay tuned for the fiction and poetry books that will be released this year and next year. They're definitely coming out. So.
Yeah, we will definitely be on the lookout for those. Kirei, the author, is coming to y'all real soon, real soon. And also you did editing before, right? Are you
Yes.
still doing the editing
Yes.
for others as well, or?
I'm still doing editing. I'm still doing book publishing. My company, Ivy Publishing, has been in business since 2011. I took a couple of years off to just kind of really focus on my own projects, but I'm still doing editing. I'm still doing publishing, and I also do resume editing as well. So it's not just books. Um, but if anyone wants to connect with me on that, that's definitely available. Um, any way that I can help. I've had other local authors and poets actually to kind of look over their books that they're getting ready to release. I actually worked with Nell the poet to help her publish her first book, and then showed her the process of how to publish in the future so she could publish herself. Um, so yeah, that's definitely still available. Again, any way that I can connect people to anything in the world of writing, I would love to do.
Okay, because I'm writing a book, so
Really?
No, not really.
Oh, you should.
I wish I could write a book, but yeah, not to take away from this interview, but I am working on something, so I'll definitely
Okay.
be in contact with you for that.
Okay.
For sure. See, this is what the spotlight is all about.
Yes.
We find connections and we bring it all together within the city. See, and you know we gonna work.
Right.
You know we gonna do some work. You know we're gonna do some work. So, as you continue to expand and grow your career, I know you mentioned that one of your goals was just to be able to write and create. But are there any other goals that you have for yourself, and where do you want to see your career get to? Not to put like a specific point on it, but where do you see your career going when it comes to writing and poetry?
I would say, okay, first part of the question.
First part of the question is what are your goals?
Okay.
For poetry.
My goals for my poetry.
Yes.
To just keep performing. I want to keep winning awards. I want to perform nationally, continue performing nationally, to perform internationally as well. I really just want to continue to get my work out there. And I want poetry to be more accessible, even more accessible than it is now. I feel like it's still considered such a niche art in a way. I've still gone to shows and people don't know whether to snap at me or wait until it's all over before they say anything. And it's like, it's fun. Poetry can be a really fun, way to engage with people, not just the beatnik scene that we're used to, where we're in the dimly lit cafes, you know. But so I want to just connect other people to poetry in the same way that I was connected to it. I want to just continue to grow as an artist, and really wherever that takes me, I'm ready for it. I really just want to, like I said, to expand myself as an artist and help other people. So whatever that looks like. I have a few ideas kind of rumbling around with different businesses or different programs that I want to continue carving out. So yeah, really any way that I can stay connected to the world of creative arts. And also performing at colleges. I've got a chance to do that a couple of times, and I really want to get back into that.
Okay, yeah, that would definitely be dope. And just knowing how amazing you are all of that is achievable, definitely achievable. And I definitely see it happening. And you know me, I'm right there in the crowd. Like,
Yeah, I appreciate it.
so yeah, and I definitely support you. And community in the city of Flint, I encourage y'all to continue to support our artist here as well. She is dope. She's amazing. She's talented. And every time that she performs, you gotta stop and tune in because it's definitely some words that you don't want to miss. And yes, I just definitely hope that you continue to grow and continue to create in your space. Just continue to keep being amazing.
Thank you. Thank you. My ultimate career goal. I want to have, well, I guess like a career goal. Because I really want to be in business for myself. I don't ever want to work for somebody for, forever. Shout out to people who do. I just realized that I can't after a while. But I want to have a meditative garden where there's a poetry workshops and there's like, healing workshops and just different things going on. So still figuring out the foundational steps for all that. That'll take some time. But I've always wanted to connect poetry and healing poetry and just emotional growth. Um, and really, again, just really helping people to get a better grasp and understanding of literacy and the importance of literacy.
Yeah, that meditation, that sounds like I just kick my shoes and socks off, plant my feet in the soil. And
I want to have all of that. I want to have a farm. Shout out to Jade Marche. I love what she is doing in the city. I know this is about me, but I love what she is doing for Flint. She has a whole farm, which is huge and just so awesome. And she has so much good work. Um, and I just love that kind of vibe. And so, I want to have just a natural, safe, healing space for people to just exist freely. Um, and so, again, we're still figuring out how that's going to go. I'm in a space of, just doing a lot of shifts because there was a time when I had a real specific goal for my poetry. It was like I was going to be like a slam champion, and that was it. And I'm really recognizing there's so many different avenues that I can take this. So, yeah, my career goals are still kind of out there for wherever I end up.
all right, and wherever you go, I hope you just take that and go straight to the top with it.
Yeah.
And real quick before I get into my next question, do you have a favorite poem at all that like a go-to poem that you
Of mine?
Yeah.
Oh, yes. My go-to right now would probably be Manifest. It's one of my favorite poems about myself, and it's about myself. But a friend of mine, when I was living in Indiana, said that the first time he ever heard me perform, it was like a universe fell out of my mouth, and I was just like, "That's really awesome," but I don't know how to take that. That feels like pressure, and so I ended up just writing about the poem. And when I wrote it again, like, it didn't feel like pressure anymore. It was me talking about why I write poetry and about speaking life into myself and how that's what I want to do on stage. I want to speak life into myself and speak life into other people. So, yeah, that's definitely one of my go-tos. I do that probably almost everywhere, unless it's really just like not a, spiritual kind of crowd, and then I'll do something like more political. So yeah, Manifest is my go-to.
Got you. And I was going to ask about that. Do you have any upcoming shows, and where can we see you next? Performance wise, creative wise.
Yes. So right now, the most upcoming thing I have is going to be March 9th at Wine and Rhymes, which is Jeff Guy's show that he is hosting at
Queen's Provisions.
Queen's Provisions. Thank you, Brandon.
Yes, ma'am.
I kept seeing Wine and Rhymes and charcuterie board in my head. And I'm like, there's a name for the business. Yes, Jeff Sky shows is going to be at Queen's Provisions March 9th. I will be there performing an open mic. I actually have a meeting coming up with Comic Book Store tomorrow to discuss an event that I want to do with them in partnership with one of the upcoming art walks. So that will be figured out soon. Like I said, in April, I'll be releasing that project, and I plan on having an event for that release as well. So that'll be probably toward the end of April because April is National Poetry Month. So I want to make sure I do that. I'm going to have a show on my birthday in July. So stay tuned. You'll see me. Connect with me on social media at Kirei_poetry. That's me on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, all that. And then that's how you can stay connected and find out what's going on with me.
All right, there you have it, guys. Make sure you tap in, stay connected with Kirei. Like I said, one of the most amazing poets from right here in the city. She's got all the shows coming up. I'll have them posted right here on the screen for y'all so I can check those out. Make sure y'all get your tickets or get the day off or whatever you need to do to come
Oh,
check her
and
out.
May 18th, sorry to you.
Yeah,
May 18th, Jeff Sky is also having an event where I will be performing and vending. So I will also be vending. That will be my tarot reading and my custom poems as well, because I have a typewriter that will be writing custom, actual typewritten poems for people.
Okay, cool. Yeah, definitely tap in with the custom poems and the tarot reading as well. She will get you together spiritually, emotionally, mentally, everything. Just do all of that. So yeah, make sure you guys tap in with all of her social medias and yeah, just continue to support her in her journey as she continues to create, as she continues to be amazing and win all of these illustrious awards that we foresee in the future. Yes. All right. So with that being said, I want to thank you for coming onto the show. It was definitely, it was definitely amazing having you on here. I got to learn more about you as a creative, more about you as an individual as well, and it's just exciting to have you here and just knowing like the friendship connection that we have. Just to have this conversation with you is dope itself. So thank you for coming on to the show with me. I hope to have you back on here at some point. All right, cool. And thank you guys for tuning in to the Superstar Spotlight. As always, I want to say thank you. Yeah, this is episode 20. We 20 episodes in, so that is definitely amazing as well. I hope we continue to elevate this as much as we can, and you can do that by following me on Facebook at Brandon Houston. That's where the full episodes drop each and every Saturday, as well as on my YouTube channel as well. So go to youtube.com/favorite actor. You can see this episode and all the previous episodes on my YouTube channel as well. Make sure you guys tap in with my Instagram and my TikTok at Brandon Up Next 810. That's where you get the highlights and clips from each and every episode as well. Make sure you like, comment, share, whatever you got to do to get the word out there that the Superstar Spotlight is here. I would greatly appreciate that. And of course, we are sponsored by Guilty Rich. Make sure you guys hit up guiltyrichboutique.com for all of your Guilty Rich merchandise. You can probably get what I got on right now. So yeah, just go over there, check out the website, see what they've got going on, and yeah, just continue to support. So ladies and gentlemen, I want to say thank you for stepping into the spotlight with Kirei. It was amazing. We'll see you guys in the next episode. Peace. Peace.